Another night, another Summit League team comes to Wichita as the South Dakota State Jackrabbits come calling. Wichita State disposed of Oral Roberts out of the Summit last night 2-1, looking for another victory here this evening here at X Stadium in Tyler Field. Shane Dennis and Denning Gehrig here with you on our swan song on WSUTV, our final matchup on WSUTV. Speaking of matchups, it's been since 1981 since these two teams saw each other last, only once. And Wichita State won all 5 games, scoring double-figure runs in 4 of the 5, all of them wins. So Wichita State welcomes back kind of a friendly face and an old pitcher that actually had made a couple of visits here when he was a pitching coach at North Dakota. Mitch Mormon is pitching coach and kind of an up-and-comer at South Dakota State.
Only spent 1 season here in Wichita, Shane, but has kind of established himself as a name to watch in the pitching coach ranks. He turned around an Ohio program, then moved on to North Dakota, like you mentioned, did good things there, and cut a run and a half off the ERA for the South Dakota State staff in his first season with the Jackrabbits last year. So on the rise, Mitch Mormon. Good to see former Shockers doing well.
And they set it in second place in the Summit behind the aforementioned Oral Roberts. And speaking of kind of taking ownership of the pitching staff, Gunnar Troutwine is a guy that we saw and mentioned last night. If you watched on WSU TV, you saw it. He does the things so pitching coach Mike Steele doesn't have to.
He makes those visits to the mound pretty frequently. If it's ball 1, ball 2, there's likely that he's going to make a trip out there to settle guys down, and has done such a good job with the staff in addition to providing excellent offense in his senior campaign. He worked a couple of really good walks last night, was on base 3 times, and ultimately helped Wichita State to a pretty important midweek victory.
Gunned out a guy, would-be base stealer, too, on what we thought was a missed hit and run. So Gunnar Troutwine will get half a day off. We'll explain what we mean when we come back. We'll have the starting lineups, the defense, starting pitchers, much more, and throw the first pitch when we come back as Jacob Lindemann gets his first start of his Shocker career.
Introducing Dunkin's new cold brew coffee, steeped slowly in cold water for small batches with an ultra-smooth, full-bodied flavor. Discover the craft of cold brew today and keep on. America runs on Dunkin'.
Charles Koch Arena is the place where we gather as a community to compete against the very best. Now our game plan is to renovate Koch Arena by adding a new Student-Athlete Success Center. Your tax-deductible gift can help deliver that slam dunk. Join us at the level that is right for you. Donate online at wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Long homestand to wrap up. The home portion of the schedule continues. It'll conclude coming up this weekend as South Florida comes to town Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But the second of 2 midweekers, and the aforementioned Jacob Lindemann will toe the rubber for Wichita State. He'll face a Jackrabbits team that's 15-24. There you see Jacob. He has had 3 other outings this year, all of them out of the bullpen. 1 good, 2 not so good. But this is just a case here, Denning, where maybe you could just get your feet on the ground, get a breather, kind of try to turn in a couple of decent innings, and then turn it over the pen. You know it's going to be a game of bullpens anyway, but Jacob Lindemann has maybe got a little something to prove. He's had a couple of rocky outings recently.
Really set the bar high for himself with that first outing. 3 scoreless frames against Central Arkansas. Has not retired a hitter in each of his last 2 appearances, but I think if he can just follow the Clayton McGinnis formula, he should be in for some success tonight. Clayton showed last night how effective you can be working quickly, throwing strikes, letting the defense help behind you.
And Wichita State last night in that 2-1 victory over Oral Roberts only committed 1 error. It did lead to a run, but Wichita State pitching, as Denning mentioned, made it stand up, headed by Clayton McGinnis in his first start of the season. I think probably first and foremost, we talked about Mike Steele, the pitching coach, Denning. I would think job 1 for Jacob Lindemann, just throw it over the plate and let your defense help you.
And I think avoiding those free passes is going to be a big part of his ability to have some success tonight. He works primarily off of his fastball anyway, and so you might as well have some good command of it, work quick, throw strikes, and let this somewhat altered defensive lineman work behind you.
And we mentioned in the last segment that Gunnar Troutwine get half a day off. He's DHing, and Ross Cadena is getting the start behind the plate. There you see the Jackrabbits starting lineup. They are a .265 hitting team on the season. They've known mostly for their speed. They will steal an occasional base. They have swiped 53 on the season. So here we go. Jacob Lindemann, his first ever start. And his first pitch is a strike on the inside corner. It's 0-1. So it shall be Anthony Schneider, a senior, leading it off. 4 home runs, 24 driven in for the Jacks. Not bad, but not good enough. 1-1. South Dakota State's final non-league game. They have a couple of conference series coming up. Home against Western Illinois, at North Dakota State to finish up the Summit. 2-1. It'll be Schneider and then Colsing, the shortstop, and Nick Smith, the left fielder. And that was hooked in the right field for a base hit. So kind of right on cue, Denning. We kind of asked for, implored, suggested that Lindemann throw strikes and then see what happened, but he fell behind in the count, and when you throw predictable pitches in hitters' counts, this is going to be the result.
And like we said, he's going to throw a lot of fastballs, even if he is behind in counts. That's just his primary offering. It's his bread and butter. And even when he is behind, he's going to have to rely on that fastball to kind of get him back into counts. Ideally, though, he'll be working ahead and sitting in the catbird seat for most of these at-bats.
Schneider, perfect 7 of 7 in steals. And quick delivery to the plate, splits the heart. 0-1. Tony Colsing, 4th leading hitter on their team. Lindemann, small sample size. As Denning mentioned, his debut, he went 3 innings in relief. It was 3 weeks or so ago. And that one needles the outside corner, 0-2, well thrown. But since then, they've tried to get him an inning of work twice, and he has twice failed to retire a hitter. So we're working on 9 consecutive batters over the course of 3 outings that Lindemann has not retired a hitter. Until then, a 3-pitch strikeout of Colsing, and that was a pretty good-looking breaking ball, Denny.
And it helps to work ahead. Got ahead with fastballs and shows off a very nice curveball that says 12-6 action. Good late depth to it. And Lindemann's going to come pretty much right over the top, so that's the kind of movement he'll be generating on his breaking ball. It's definitely more 12-6 than side to side.
Colsing strikes out the most of any Jackrabbit, and right on cue, Lindemann hopped ahead of him and put him away. So there's 1 out, and now Nick Smith, team's leading hitter. Saw the graphic earlier. 3 of these hitters will be left-handed, including 2 of the first 3. It won't be until we get down in the 7th spot in the order. Another lefty will be up. Bohm looking for the barrier. He makes the catch in front of it. 2 down. Schneider went part way at first and then just walked back to the bag. So a first pitch out here in the first. That's 2 away. And now Newt Johnson after that leadoff single.
Helps to know the confines of your home ballpark. Bohm can get a pretty good idea of how much room he's going to have. He did have the offhand out there just in case, feeling for the wall, but plenty of room. Ends up making the catch a couple feet from that padded barrier wall.
So here's Johnson, a .252 hitter, instead of throw to first. Mason O'Brien getting the start at first base for the first time in a while. Ross Cadena behind the plate, only his 2nd start as a catcher. He started a game that his battery mate was Connor Lungwitz. Fouled back this way. It's 0-1. So Lindemann has settled in nicely after falling behind Anthony Schneider.
And Grayson Jennist out in left field today for the first time in quite a while as Jacob Katzvey gets the start in center. Trey Vickers, a second consecutive day off at shortstop. Jordan Boyer stays there for tonight's ball game.
First pitch of the game was at 90 miles an hour. The other fastballs have been anywhere between 87 and 90. Did flash that good breaking ball when he got ahead of Tony Colsing. Newt Johnson, team co-leader in home runs with 6. Good block by Cadena. It's 2-1. How about the Jackrabbits, Denning? They played a grand total of 3 home games. Count them.
Just a miserable schedule they've had to deal with as far as the weather. Home games in Joplin, Omaha, Council Bluffs, and Sioux Falls. Home games in quotation marks, of course.
When they started the season, the schedule said 1 doubleheader. It was that one scheduled doubleheader. But they have had to cram a lot of games, especially in league play. They had, their 3 consecutive opening weekend doubleheaders not on the schedule in the Summit. That's not advisable. Check swing, no swing, 2-out walk. So now 2 on and 2 out for Josh Falk, who also has 6 home runs on the year.
Lindemann trying to induce a chase here from Newt Johnson with his 3-1 offering down, and did get a check swing out of him, but not enough to be tempting to induce a swing. As now South Dakota State threatening with 2 outs.
So 1 turned into 7 doubleheaders, all told. Finally getting some baseball weather, not only for Wichita State, but South Dakota State. So 2 on, 2 out here in the first. And a good start to Josh Falk. Falk, the only guy in the lineup with a average above 300. 9 doubles, 6 homers. 301 on the season. Beg your pardon, Nick Smith was the other. He's at 324. One ball, 1 strike. Josh Falk, big guy, 6'2", 230. Sophomore, native of Minnesota. Now Ross Cadena is going to go out and try to calm Lindemann down, who in some ways Denning may have let his guard down a little bit when he got that second out, as young guys are wont to do.
I imagine that it was an interesting conversation. You got a freshman battery here. Like you said, Cadena making just his second start behind the plate, put into a position where he has to be a leader and kind of coach up a guy only making his 4th appearance and first collegiate start.
Healthy cut and fouled back, so it's 1-2. Yeah, we talked about Gunnar Troutwine makes a lot of visits. He can't go trotting out there for him now. It's Cadena's game. It's Cadena's staff tonight.
These catchers, though, have been around these pitchers for so long. And you consider the fall, the early spring, inter squads.
Catching bullpens all the time.
Yep. Every catcher on this team has seen every guy on this staff throw quite a bit. And so there is a familiarity and a comfort level that goes beyond just a guy making his second start and a guy making his 4th appearance.
2-2, big pitch coming for Lindemann here. Josh Falk, big-time power threat in their lineup, one of their best. And he got him. Chased a breaking ball away. Good job by Cadena and Lindemann to work Falk away, walked him off the plate, and that's that. Shockers coming up in the bottom of the first.
Become a part of history at Wichita State University by helping us complete X Stadium. A new 10,000 square foot performance facility will give our baseball, softball, tennis, and golf student athletes the strength and conditioning training space they need. Your tax-deductible gift will help us knock it out of the park. Join us at the level that is right for you. Donate online at wichita.edu/shock the world.
Like Jacob Lindemann, South Dakota State's Austin Sewer hasn't done this yet this year, and it's start a game. He's got quite a bit more experience, but this is his first start and what will most certainly be split up, much like Wichita State's situation.
Sewer does have a lot of experience working as kind of the long guy out of this Jackrabbits bullpen. He's gone 3 2/3 innings twice in relief, a couple more outings of 2+ frames, so capable of at least getting them into the middle innings. Still, though, the numbers a little bit troubling, and most importantly, that elevated walk rate, 20 in just 22 2/3 innings. So Wichita State would be wise to be patient early in counts for Sewer to be in the strike zone.
A lot of stuff happens when he's in the game. Decisions nearly half the time when he makes an appearance. This will be his 16th. There's the defense behind him, and actually their defense is done really well this year. Only an error per game on average. And at the college level, that's excellent. Strike in there on the inside corner. Ritter, Catsby, and Bohm, the three to face Austin Sewer. One ball and one strike to Luke Ritter. Ritter, a pair of hits last night, so he kind of picked up where he left off in that 19-game hitting streak that got interrupted by an 0-for on Sunday, and looky there. Bouncing ball into center for a base hit. So that 326 average that he was sporting coming in will climb, and Luke Ritter just continues to stay on a tear.
Boy, if Alec Bohm's not careful, Luke Ritter's going to catch him in the batting average race. He has been on a tear as of late, and seems like a ton of his hits have come in the first, second, or maybe even the third inning. He gets a lot of his action done early, and that was a big part of the reason why that hit streak got right around 20 games.
Speaking of, Luke Ritter at the moment, 330. Bohm, 339. Catsby first pitch swinging, and he hits it right at the left fielder Smith. One away. What do you think Luke Ritter would have said if you told him on May 9th he'd be hitting 330, and you told him that back on, March 9th? Think he'd take that?
I think he'd take it, but what I love about Luke, and I've known him for a couple years now, is that he is such an even-keeled guy that I'm sure while the first couple weeks of his season were frustrating, he was never going to deviate, really, from what he was trying to do, what his approach was going to be at the plate, how he prepared for games.
Ritter goes, pitches down. The throw down is strong but a little late. Not a huge part of Luke's game. That's stolen base number 3, but timed up Austin Sewer pretty well, so he steals his way into scoring position.
Now, if you had told Luke he would be 3 for 3 in stolen bases, that would be a completely different thing. But very good jump off of first. A little peek in to make sure that Bohm didn't put a swing on this, and then slides in ahead of the tag.
Two 2-0. Mahalski, their catcher, has only thrown out 4 of 29 trying to steal against him. So throwing out would-be base stealers, not exactly a strength for South Dakota State. Stealing bases themselves is. They've only been caught 14 times in 67 tries when they've been out there. And that's really nowhere close, 3-0. Genesta on deck. Jacob Lindemann pitched around a 2-on, 2-out situation in the top of the inning. Ritter has singled and stolen a base here in the bottom half. He's out there with 1 away and a 3-0 count to Bohm. We'll see if Todd Butler turns him loose. We may never know. Ball 4. If you're a pitcher, let's put yourself in Austin Sewer's shoes right there on that 3-0. And assuming you've heard of and know about Alec Bohm, you want to throw him your best fastballs on 3-0 and just say, hey, I did it, and I want to see what happens?
No, I don't. You're trying to talk me into a corner here.
No.
Absolutely
I'm just giving you the entire...
Here's my 3-0 changeup, Alec. Go to work.
Wow. Okay. So here's Genesta, 2 on and 1 out, trying to stay away from something they've been proficient at, and that's not a good thing. And that's hitting into a double play. How many times did they hit into a double play in the weekend series? 7?
8.
8.
They hit into 2 last night.
Yeah,
That
so
made
that's
10.
10, So, needless to say, Geneseo will look for something to elevate here. 2-0. And as Denning pointed out at the very top, command has not been Sewer's strong suit. 20 walks and 22 2/3 coming in. So now make it 21 and 23. And you got a lot of things going in Genesto's favor right now. Of course, he's heading the count. It's hot. It's a little muggy. The ball is going to travel. He doesn't have the wind to help him necessarily, but certainly not to hurt him either. We've kind of had a mixed bag of wind so far this year, in and out, but no wind at all tonight. Just like an early summer day.
Mahalski is setting up away, and those last 2 fastballs have missed down and in. That is not a great sign for Austin Sewer and his command. And maybe Geneseo gets the green light here on 3-0, but if I'm Wichita State, I'm forcing him to throw me at least 1 strike.
Yeah, I think he's just a tad too wild to maybe turn your guys loose. We'll see. Yeah, that one thrown hard but high, ball 4, so back-to-back walks, and now Gunnar Troutwine, tonight's DH, will have an opportunity here with the bases loaded. Single and 2 walks in the very first inning.
We might be seeing Mitch Mormon a little sooner than I'm sure he would have liked, as Sewer battling it pretty bad here. Again, 3-0, you're probably just trying to pipe one, and that's head high.
So we'll see what Gunner's got on his mind here with the bases full. Shockers, by the way, did hit into a double play last night with the bases loaded. And in a game that they only got 2 runs. That double play and a missed opportunity in the 8th. Shockers probably could have ended up with 4 or 5, maybe more.
Right on cue, here comes Mitch Mormon after 9 straight balls, and how many of those were close?
I don't know that any of them were all that
Maybe
close.
1. This is a corner that you do not want to be backed into, as Wichita State threatening to put a hole in this one in the bottom of the first inning. One thing you can't do on the road, and this is a constant through all of college baseball, fall behind early and don't throw strikes. It's just going to put you in positions where it's hard to have success consistently, and there's already activity going in the Jackrabbits bullpen.
So Wichita State, with those 5 grand slams they've been setting on for literally a couple of months now. And that one's stroked into center field, and it's going to drop in front of the center fielder Badger. Going to turn into 2 runs. He almost let it get behind him, and good for Gunnar Troutwine, Denning. He got a pitch in his zone, timed it up perfectly. It's one thing to get what you're looking for. It's another to be on time with it, and he got both.
Well, it's easy to look for one pitch in one spot. When a guy's been struggling with his command the way that Sewer has, you can pretty much dial in for a fastball in your nitro zone, and this is what Troutwine was looking for. On time with it, a bullet into center field, and nearly a disaster for Badger and SDSU.
So here's Gibson, Shocker right fielder. Still just the 1 out, and that was, I'm sure if Jacob Catsby had it to do over again, he would have changed his approach a little bit in his plate appearance. First pitch he saw, he lined to left. At any rate, Shockers get on the board first. And Gibson looks him over. It's 1-0. Gibson 0 for 1 with a walk last night. I think we both agreed also at the time last night, Denning, you played a pretty solid left field.
Made some plays that can be tricky in this ballpark look fairly routine. The twisting fly balls down the left field line have a notorious history of causing some problems for left fielders here.
And that one's line past the shortstop. Genesta had to give ground to make sure it went through. Good piece of hitting by Gibson. And Genesta, better safe than sorry. They're loaded back up again for Mason O'Brien.
As a runner, you got to freeze on a line drive, so not much that Genesta could do as the shortstop Colsing made a sprawling effort to try and snag this, but another well-struck baseball. And Hunter Gibson having a really impressive freshman season. Limited plate appearances, but a .361 average, nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, Gibson now 13 out of 36 and narrowly missed an opportunity for his 11th RBI. So they're loaded up again for Mason O'Brien. O'Brien got an at-bat last night, ended up striking out, and he gets ahead in the count as well. 1 ball and no strikes. Things are pretty tough sledding for Austin Sewer, South Dakota State's right-hander.
O'Brien does have one of the Shockers' 5 grand slams this year.
Andrew Zimmerman is a freshman from Urbandale, Iowa, down in the left field bullpen, getting loose if things don't get any better for Austin Sewer. He has not thrown many strikes here in the first inning. Now O'Brien all over that one, pulls it foul, 2-1. O'Brien, I'm sorry, Denning, season's average .267 with that 1 home run.
Sewer hadn't thrown in more than 2 weeks. Last appearance was just an inning against Oral Roberts all the way back on April 21st. So I wonder if rust may be playing a little bit of a factor.
Left fielder Smith is shallow, Badger and Holtz deep and shaded around the right. 3-1. Shockers at every base, 2 in here in the first. That is a hit a mile in the air to shallow right. And just in foul ground, Steiger makes the catch, but tagging is Genesta, and he's going to score. One of the shortest sacrifice flies you'll see, but a heads-up play by Genesta, and didn't let Sewer totally get off the hook there with the pop-up. That saves O'Brien an at-bat, gives him a sacrifice fly, and a run batted in. It's 3-0.
This is just Grayson Genesta paying attention to the momentum of Steiger as he drifts away from home plate to retrieve this fly ball. With how high it was hit, he was never able to get settled under it. Just drifting, and so all of his momentum is headed towards the right field corner, and despite a fairly accurate throw, Grayson got a good jump off of third and scores without a tag.
Cadena hit a bullet, but right at the shortstop, Colsing takes care of him, and the Shockers are done. But Wichita State gets 3 as we head to the second.
Introducing Dunkin's new cold brew coffee, steeped slowly in cold water for small batches with an ultra-smooth, full-bodied flavor. Discover the craft of cold brew today and keep on. America runs on Dunkin'.
The Shockers get 3 runs, benefiting from a bit of wildness from Austin Sewer. They cash in a couple of walks, had 3 base hits and one of the shallowest sacrifice flies you'll see, but Jacob Lindemann gets spotted 3 early runs. And I would say, Denning, that getting him an early lead would go a long way in helping him settle down, but to be honest, I don't think he probably cares what the score is. Strikes is job one, no matter if he's ahead, behind, or tied.
He should pitch like he can't see the scoreboard.
Yep.
Have the same approach every single inning, and really don't let the way you're going to pitch be dictated by the score. If you start thinking, oh, okay, I'm ahead 3-0. I can afford to be a little bit too fine. Just try and work to the edges of the plate. That's when you're going to get yourself into trouble.
Yeah, you can find yourself getting into trouble pretty quick if you, as they say, pitch to the score. But again, I think at this point in his early part of his career, he's just trying to establish a little bit of rhythm with Ross Cadena and work ahead in the count. Steiger, the second baseman, will lead it off, then Badger, then Holtz. If anybody gets on, Mahalski. Lower part of the Jackrabbits order. And here's the other thing, too, Denning, with working ahead versus working behind, you get into a pretty good rhythm with the home plate umpire, Kevin Rain. So you throw a couple pitches just off, but it's intended to be there, you might get them. A hanger to left, but Genesta is right in his tracks. One down in the Jackrabbit second.
Show the ability to hit spots consistently, you'll get rewarded. If you hit those spots a ball or two off the plate, home plate umpire are more likely to give them to you. This is a mistake, frankly, on 0-2. A breaking ball that stays out over the plate, but Steiger a little bit off the end of the bat. Didn't quite square it up and not enough to get it over Genesta's head.
I've always been of the opinion, and most of the time I've been wrong, but if you're a college umpire and home plate is your day, well, I'd be just dying to call a bunch of strikes, wouldn't you?
I like ringing people up.
Yeah.
It's a fun time.
Absolutely. Good bunt. Bohm is going to let it roll, and wisely so. Deadened perfectly, but couldn't stay fair, and Badger will have to do it over again. Nice try.
Well, we've now seen Alec Bohm know his home ballpark in the air, and he knows it on the ground as well. As a third baseman, you're taught to go out to the field in which you're going to be playing, roll a baseball down the line, and just see what happens to it. Some parks, it'll just kind of naturally fade off and roll into foul territory, and that's pretty much what happened there.
Seemed like he knew it was going to happen. But Jacob, you got this. It'll go foul here in about 5 or 10 feet. One and two. Landon Badger, a sophomore, hitting .278. Pretty well hit, but off the end of the bat. And Genesta, who's played a fair amount of center field out there, or this season anyway, playing left field tonight. So, in essence, you got two center fielders out there, and here Catsby.
Catsby had seen more of his time at Wichita State over in left field. So those two guys pretty much alternating spots, and Genesta takes charge of this one as Lindemann continues to try and settle in, set down the last three, and working comfortably with the lead.
Logan Holtz, your batter, .291 hitter, part-timer this year. Off of the heel, Bohm out at first. Your 1-5-3 ground ball to end the second inning. Lindemann with a skate save and a beauty.
Wichita State University is Shocker Nation. We exceed expectations, push boundaries, seize opportunities, and move boldly ahead. We are student-centered and innovation-driven. It's who we are. Our vision is simple but powerful. Create, innovate, collaborate, and celebrate. With one unifying purpose: to shock the world.
So the outing for Austin Sewer was relatively short. Andrew Zimmerman is going to take over here in the second. Sewer was able to get the final 2 outs in the first, but one brought in a run, preceding the 2 that he gave up earlier. So Sewer, 1 inning, 3 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, no strikeouts. Andrew Zimmerman out of the Jackrabbits bullpen. And conversely, you had Jacob Lindemann working a really neat and tidy 1-2-3 second inning, which first inning really pitch count wasn't an issue, but after kicking it over to his third baseman, Alec Bohm made sure that didn't turn into a base runner. Nifty play.
I'm not going to say Jacob Lindemann did that on purpose, but he sure made it look like he kind of did.
Didn't pick up his feet, did he?
Yeah, nicely done there. And Alec Bohm, as he has shown in the last couple of ball games, with an ability to barehand a baseball and get rid of it quickly. He's made that play look fairly easy.
So Boyer, and then back to the top of the order here in the second. Shockers had a good round in the first. 3 singles, a pair of walks. There you see Andrew Zimmerman. He has made 1 start this year, but just a grand total of 7 2/3 in his previous 4 outings for the Jackrabbits.
Didn't pitch at all in February and March. First appearance of the season came in mid-April on the road at Creighton, and since then has worked 3 times in relief. But a true freshman, called upon here in the second inning just to try and keep this game right where it is.
Clipped the inside corner, 1-2 with a breaking ball. Zimmerman, native of Iowa. There's a sprinkling of Iowa natives on this roster, but I'd say pretty close to half from South Dakota. A handful of Minnesota players as well. So this is truly a Midwestern flavor, this roster for the South Dakota State Jackrabbits. Back through the middle, a base hit, and that's got to feel pretty good for Jordan Boyer, who not only has been kind of a victim of circumstance with the platoon situation, but even when he's been in there, the hits have really been hard to come by for the last month for him.
Yeah, this is a good approach on 1 and 2. He had just seen a big, slow breaking ball snap over the inside corner and doesn't get rattled by Zimmerman trying to come back with a fastball. Stayed locked in, stayed with that middle away approach, chops it back up the middle and gives Wichita State a leadoff man aboard.
So here's Ritter, who led off last inning with a single, a steal, and he came around to score on Troutwine's base hit. One ball and no strikes to Luke Ritter. Mentioned at the time, got his average up to 330. Now, Bohm walked his first plate appearance, so he's at 339 and holding. Troutwine got a hit, so he is comfortably above 300 now. 2-0 to Luke Ritter. Wrapped sharply to third, could be a 5-4-3, and it is. Double play. Ritter, I think it could be argued that time, Denning hit it too hard.
We said this last night, that if you have base runners and if you hit balls hard, you're going to hit into your fair share of double plays. Just feels like Wichita State's been kind of snake bitten by that over the last week or so. Ritter 2-0 count. Good swing, bad result.
Well, I think double plays you can live with when they're timed up by the hitter, and Ritter was ahead in the count, and I think that qualified. But you hit on the pitcher's terms and roll into a double play, and head coach be pulling his hair out.
Yeah, you're reaching for a breaking ball out away from
right.
You, kind of roll something over weakly, 6-4-3. That's not knowing the situation. That's not knowing your strengths as a hitter.
Steiger takes care of Catsby, and Zimmerman turns in a scoreless second inning.
Wichita State University is Shocker Nation. We exceed expectations, push boundaries, seize opportunities, and move boldly ahead. We are student-centered and innovation-driven. It's who we are. Our vision is simple but powerful. Create, innovate, collaborate, and celebrate. With one unifying purpose: to shock the world.
So far, so good for the Shockers here in their second to last non-conference game. Non-conference road teams coming in here haven't had too much success against Wichita State. Of course, any team, period, hasn't in this ballpark. Shockers 21-6 at home so far this year, but help me here. Nebraska did it. They came in here and stole one in the final game of that series. There's a home loss against a non-conference team.
Is that it?
Shockers went to Missouri, lost, went to Creighton and lost. There's two. I think there's only one more.
Oral Roberts on the road.
Oral Roberts on the road, yep. Sweep of Texas Arlington here. Sweep of Furman here. Beat Oklahoma here. Oklahoma State. So, Kansas, 11-0 that game. So Wichita State in the non-conference here have been really tough to beat. Colton Mahalski comes in 4 out of 42. Jacob Lindemann jumps ahead in the count. No balls and 2 strikes. The final non-conference home game will come on Tuesday. It'll be ahead of that trip to Memphis. K-State comes to town for the one and only time this year. The trip there was canceled due to rain. 1-2.
That'll be the last time Wichita State takes on the Brad Hill-led Kansas State Wildcats. Announced the other day that he will be stepping down at the conclusion of this 2018 season.
Lindemann tried the outside corner, missed. It's 2-2. 15 years Brad Hill was at Kansas State. Inherited a bit of a mess, turned him around in a big way for a while, culminating in 2013's Super Regional team. Mahalski goes down on strikes. 3 strikeouts for Jacob Lindemann, first time through the order.
Kind of messed around with Mahalski after he got him down 0-2, but eventually this was going to be a fastball, trying to put him away on the inside half of the plate. Nice little movement to it, working into a right-handed hitter. Gets the foul tip and a strikeout.
Ball jumped at the last moment, seemed to. Anthony Schneider single his first time up there. After Schneider's plate appearance, seemed like something clicked for Jacob Lindemann. He consistently worked ahead against almost everybody else. After he fell behind Schneider and Anthony took advantage of a 2-1 pitch. Something soft clips the outside edge. 0-2.
I would say as a staff, Wichita State doesn't throw many changeups. They'll sprinkle them in. Just about every guy has one, but it's not a primary offering by any means. That was a good one from Lindemann. You could see a percentage breakdown of types of pitches. I would say most Wichita State pitchers don't use their changeup more than 15% of the time.
No, I'd say it'd probably be less than that.
10%?
Yep. Yeah, almost everybody's fastball, breaking ball. Down on the handle enough. Long run for a sliding Gibson into foul ground. Hunter Gibson covered a lot of real estate, and on a full swing, pull fly ball like that, Denning, sometimes that's the easiest way to get fooled, but Gibson was not.
Home dugout did an excellent job here as they yelled in right on contact, gave Hunter Gibson a heads up, and you got to read that swing because it can fool you very easily. When you see the full swing, you see the trajectory of the ball, you anticipate it's going back. Take one false drop step, all of a sudden you're in trouble. But Gibson has really flashed the leather out in both corner outfield spots over the last couple games.
It's like a natural. Now, worst case scenario, that would have dropped foul, but Lindemann's appreciative of the ball that ended up in the glove on a sliding catch by Hunter Gibson. Good play.
All about saving bullets. I mean, we talked about yesterday how as a pitcher you can kind of let your own bullets slip away when you mess around with guys, issue 2-out walks with nobody on, so on and so forth. But get some help from your defense. That saves pitches. That saves innings. It all adds up.
And something that Wichita State has been victimized by, the double play ball. Get 2 outs on 1 pitch. That'll get you right back in the groove, too. 3-1. A couple of borderline pitches going the way of Tony Colsing. Strikeout victim his first time.
This is former El Dorado Broncos legend, Tony Colsing. Watched him play for a couple summers in the Jayhawk League here in Kansas. Draws a 2-out walk.
One of the seniors on this South Dakota State club, native of Chaska, Minnesota.
Having a really good stretch. He was recently named Player of the Week in the Summit League. Has been swinging the bat very well as of late.
So here's Nick Smith, picked on the first pitch he saw and fouled out. Good job by Lindemann, hop right back in there, 0-1. Lindemann, 2 2/3, 1 hit, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. If he gets Smith here within the next couple, the pitch count will still be quite manageable. You can see it there in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. Ross Cadena is going to go out for a word here. Runner goes. That one's sprayed into left. Genesis got a beat on it, and he's going to make a running catch. So Jacob Lindemann has turned in 3 scoreless innings in his first start as a Shocker.
Introducing Dunkin's new cold brew coffee, steeped slowly in cold water for small batches with an ultra-smooth, full-bodied flavor. Discover the craft of cold brew today and keep on. America runs on Dunkin'.
Charles Koch Arena is the place where we gather as a community to compete against the very best. Now our game plan is to renovate Koch Arena by adding a new student-athlete success center. Your tax-deductible gift can help deliver that slam dunk. Join us at the level that is right for you. Donate online at wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Wichita State has, at the very least, 7 more games to play this season. Assuming all goes well enough, they'll have at least 9 more games this season. And if they win this one, this will be number 31. And that will tie the high water mark in the Todd Butler era. Todd won 31, lost 28 in 2014. South Florida Bulls will come in this weekend. And there you see the remainder of the schedule. K-State Tuesday, and then Memphis Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And what we all hope is a trip to Clearwater to take on the rest of the league in the conference tournament. But Wichita State comes into this one 30-16. But as we talked about last night, getting work left to do inside the league. Non-conference, not a problem. Inside the league, a little bit left to do.
Can't imagine, too, that this team will be satisfied with, 31 wins. We set the new high water mark under head coach Todd Butler. That's not what this team is about.
Absolutely not.
There are bigger fish to fry for this year's group, and with the start that they had, got to feel like they want every chance to play NCAA tournament baseball. It's been several years since that's been the case here in Wichita, and this year's team has the talent to get there.
Bohm takes a strike. If I'm not mistaken, that's the first one he's seen. 3, 4, and 5. Bohm, Genesta, Troutwine against Andrew Zimmerman. Turned in a pretty good second. Gave up a hit, but got a couple of ground balls. And he lost him. So Bohm's walked twice. Genesta up there now. He walked his first time up. That was against Austin Sewer, who only lasted 1 inning. Mitch Mormon's prized pupil out there now. He's the future. Zimmerman, being just a freshman, walks his first.
Have to wonder how many scouting reports on Wichita State under Alec Bohm, it just says, don't let this guy beat you. So he just sees maybe 1 or 2 hittable strikes during a game, and that speaks volumes to the fact that he's hitting .339.
And that one's blasted high and deep to right field. Genesta gives the Shockers a 5-0 lead. The first homer for Grayson Genesta in a long, long time. Central Arkansas about 3 weeks ago. And Genesta rings the bell for Wichita State. That's home run number 8 for Grayson.
I think a straight changeup, if I'm not mistaken, that stayed elevated, and Genesta was on it. He's gotten a lot of off-speed pitches early in counts this year. At times he's gotten out on his front foot, but this time stays back, lets the ball travel, and just destroys it to right field.
So home run number 46 for Wichita State this year. Troutwine takes a little low and outside. He had the big hit to that point, and a bases loaded single to center field, driving in 2 in the first. Two and 0. So Shockers, after going pretty quietly in the second, touch up Andrew Zimmerman for a couple here in the third. A walk and a home run. That's the second home run that he's permitted this year. Eases that one in there, 2-1.
Genesta now, by the way, just 1 home run shy of equaling his career high in round trippers set last year. He had 9.
Still a hitter's count for Gunnar Troutwine, the DH tonight. And he takes low, ball 4. 2 walks in the inning, 4 walks drawn by the Shockers. So the first 3 have reached here in the third.
Hope was that this could be kind of a get-well game for the Wichita State offense, and Mitch Mormon can't be too pleased with what he has seen from Schur and Zimmerman through the first 2+ frames. Shockers putting together very good at-bats consistently, drawing free passes, and then when it's in the zone, they are not getting cheated.
Saw stuff, drops in there. 0-1 to Gibson. Gibson with a nice opposite field base hit his first time up there. Walk, home run, walk here to start the Shocker third. That one's smothered by Mahalski, the catcher. It is 1-1. Hunter Gibson, 361 now, the batting average. Mentioned earlier, got his 13th hit. This is his 9th start. And one thing he has exhibited in his opportunities, as kind of scattered out as they've been, is pretty good plate discipline. Doesn't go up there hacking at everything he sees.
Guy who knows his strengths as a hitter, knows what he's looking for in certain spots.
Went after that one, it's 2-2.
And I think This is also a somewhat underrated part of his ability as a hitter, is that he never puts his B swing on a baseball. If it's a pitch that he wants to swing at, it's his best cut. And I think you could hear Todd Butler saying, good hack on 2-1 there. Doesn't really matter that you foul tip it, swing through it even. Just swing your hardest. Good things are going to happen.
Todd has always said, from the time that he got here until now, a moving bat is a dangerous bat. And it's kind of a cliche thing, but it's true. And to your point, if you're going to swing, put your best pass on the ball and hope for the best.
You get into trouble when you start slowing the barrel down, trying not to wave through a breaking ball. Just end up tapping it somewhere.
That one finds its way into right field, a base hit. Turning second, heading for third, Troutwine. Nice base running by Gunner, and the beat goes on for Wichita State. Hunter Gibson, 2 out of 2.
Knew he was likely to get something hard and straight on 3-2. And this fastball bounced sharply through the right side. I, for one, was not expecting Gunnar Troutwine to go first to third here, but Holtz, the right fielder, did not run through the baseball. And that's something that may have been on the scouting report for Wichita State, is that you can take an extra base on some of these outfielders.
Well, the one thing that I have learned this year, and to a degree 2 years ago, is even though Troutwine's not very fast, he finds himself not only on base a lot, but scoring a lot of runs. Good example right there of not following through with the swing. If you're O'Brien there, that would have been a B swing, I think it would qualify as, so you might as well save it. Caught the outside corner, though. It's 0-1. O'Brien with a sacrifice fly to the second baseman his last time. There's a souvenir into the stands, 0-2.
Since you brought up Gunnar Troutwine getting on base a lot and scoring a lot of runs, I've got to mention just the weirdest stat with Mason O'Brien, how he has only scored 3 runs this year. He's driven in 25. He's got 24 hits, 10 walks. That means he's been on base at least 35 times.
Been hit 3 times. Don't forget that. Gibson takes off for second base and will make it without a play. That was well designed, picked a good pitch to take off on.
But what are the chances?
I think that bears repeating. He scored 3 runs, Mason O'Brien has.
And one of them was his own home run.
Home run, yeah, knocked himself in.
So he's been knocked in twice the whole season. That's absurd.
Need him to hang in there for another couple pitches here. He scored in the opener against McNeese State, so he was on a pace to score 56 after 1. He hit a grand slam on the 2nd of March. He scored on March 10th against Texas Arlington.
So you're telling me he hasn't scored in almost 2 months?
That's what I'm telling you. Into right, down around the handle just enough. Holtz has got it. Troutwine tags. The throw goes to third, and just sliding in there safely is Gibson. Everybody moves up. So another sacrifice fly by Mason O'Brien. No official at-bats, but 2 runs batted in for Mason. And he now has 8 times as many RBIs as runs scored.
He doesn't need to score runs. He's just up there to drive them in.
Knock them in.
1 in and 1 over. Todd Butler, big fan of that. As O'Brien gets something that he can elevate to the right side. Holtz gets a lot on this throw. This is a very strong throw in towards third base and made it fairly close.
And while we're kind of poking fun at Mason, we should also pat him on the back. He's 4th on the team in runs batted in, so he knows how to knock them in.
Yeah, I'm not making fun of Mason O'Brien. That's not really his fault. That's just a statistical oddity.
Cadena steps into one, but Smith is there. And in comes the relay throw. It was cut off. And because it was offline, that allowed Gibson to score a little more comfortably, so the Shockers have a 4 spot, back-to-back sack flies. And so Wichita State has 4 more here in the third.
Only 8 Wichita State hitters have been retired so far, and 3 of them are sacrifice flies. That's a good ratio of productive outs to outs. I feel like Cadena has hit the ball really hard.
Yes.
The last 3 games he has been in there and just hasn't gotten rewarded for it a lot.
Well, you continue to put together good plate appearances, you'll find yourself in the lineup one way or the other. And tonight marks Ross Cadena's second start as a catcher, of course, but he's been the DH last couple of games before that. Boyer is ahead in the count 2-0. Two walks, 2 hits, 2 sacrifice flies, 4 runs. Boyer singled in the second, then was erased on a double play by Ritter. And Boyer is 1 pitch away from allowing Ritter to come up there in each of the first 3 innings. So Zimmerman, after an uneventful second inning, has now walked 3 in this inning. And that makes 5 for South Dakota State pitching. And Denning, you talked about kind of a feel-good or guys, some of these position players getting their heads right. Situational hitting, to me, is the thing that could really go south if you're in a game that you perceive like this, to where I'm just going to get mine. You know, I'd like to be 3 for 4 in this one because I'm facing perceived inferior pitching. But 5 walks drawn, 4 of them have scored so far.
Guys who are out there to get theirs are going to chase a lot of 3-1 pitches, a ball or 2 off the plate, trying to pad the stat line. And so when you're seeing walks, that generally is a pretty good sign that these hitters are locked in. They're trying to do a job rather than trying to add to the numbers.
You know who's got a pretty good eye for people trying to get theirs, don't you? Todd Butler. He'd notice pretty quick in a game like this. And he and you and I during the week had discussed it a little bit. This is kind of a trappy game. You know, you take care of Oral Roberts and then you exhale because South Dakota State's coming to town. And not only do you potentially get yourself in trouble, but you get yourself in bad habits and you draw the ire of the coaching staff. Don't change the way you play just because of who you're playing.
And how do you not look ahead, too, to this weekend? I think definitely a trap game. Feel like you got rid of your midweek rival, big win, 1-run game, top 5 overall pick coming in on Friday. Very easy to think, oh, that's right, we've got a game Wednesday. Just kind of forget about it. But it's pretty clear that from the moment they have stepped between the lines tonight, all 9 Shockers have been locked in.
3-1 to Ritter. 3-2. Bohm walked to start the inning, then Jennison homered. Troutwine walked. Gibson singled. Here's the 3-1 to Ritter.
Wonder why he started running.
I wonder why a person in the crowd said good take. 4 walks in the inning now for Wichita State, and they have, or will, when Catsby is an out, send 9 to the plate here in the third. Those kind of pitches you're talking about, Denning, those pitches when you're ahead in the count that are kind of close, but you haven't seen many good ones, those are the ones you tend to fish for.
Catsby trying to join in the fun. Hasn't reached base or driven home a run yet tonight.
I was going to say, Catsby's worn the collar so far. He's got a chance to go 0 for 3 if things don't go right in the first 3 innings. 4 runs home in the third. Catsby getting his 9th start of the season tonight. Thought about it, took a strike.
Is batting 9 in an inning batting around, or do you have to bat 10?
No, I think you have to bat 9.
Thank goodness.
I think the Shockers have batted around now.
I'm glad we're on the same page. Why would it?
In all my years of broadcasting, that's why I say.
Thank you. You would not believe how much of an argument there is about this.
Really?
That people have to, that the leadoff man in an inning has to bat twice for it to be batting around.
Okay.
I don't know why. And it makes me angry to even kind of talk about it.
I don't subscribe to that, so I think we can get along. Off-speed pitch drops in.
Cross up.
A great catch, as it turned out, by Michalski. The only way you catch this is if you're looking fastball and you get a breaking ball, not the other way around.
Come on, close it out.
That's not bad for Michalski, considering he didn't know that was going to be a curveball. Catchby cranks one to right. Holtz on the run. He's at the track, and he's got it. So Jacob Catchby gave it a ride, but he is the final out of the third as the Shockers do indeed bat around.
Introducing Dunkin's new cold brew coffee, steeped slowly in cold water for small batches with an ultra-smooth, full-bodied flavor. Discover the craft of cold brew today and keep on. America runs on Dunkin'.
Well, I kind of thought that Jacob Lindemann would go as long as he was effective, as they say. He did, and maybe Wichita State's 4-run third and a 7-0 lead after 3 has prompted a pitching change, because we've got a guy that, speaking of feel-good, could probably use a feel-good outing himself, and Liam Eddy.
Eddy made one previous relief appearance. That was one inning against Cincinnati, but otherwise has been Wichita State's weekend starter, or at least one of the 3 for this entire season, and well chronicled how hot of a start he got off to. Was on pace for freshman All-America status with the beginning of his 2018. Hit a speed bump, and Mike Steele now moving him to the bullpen for the time being in an effort to try and regain his confidence a little bit, regain his mechanics, and get him back to the guy who was so successful to start the year.
To look at Eddie's overall numbers, you'd think he's doing just fine this year, and in total, he has been. 3.88 ERA and 55 2/3. But besides that outing out of the bullpen that Denning told you about, 3 innings, 3 runs against UCF, 2 innings, 4 runs against Houston, 3 1/3, 7 runs against UConn. It had just gotten to where it was spiraling out of control in 3 consecutive outings for him. So in an effort to kind of revitalize him, maybe charge the battery a little bit, sat and watched for a little while. Eddie is a guy that certainly has a very bright future, no question about it. He became only the 2nd pitcher in school history who, as a freshman, was in the weekend rotation and won his first 4 starts. He was, without question, the first month of the season, the Shockers' best pitcher. Newt Johnson greets him here in the 4th, and he turns on one, and it's a little bit foul.
The other night you mentioned how you thought maybe fatigue was starting to play a bit of a role in Eddie's recent struggles, and I don't see how you could possibly be off base with that when you consider most freshmen, typically from cold weather states too, haven't had to throw that many innings in a high school career.
That curveball hit Newt Johnson, and you could kind of see there in his delivery that Liam Eddy was trying to juice it up a little extra, doing a little something different, trying to make it break a little more. We'll take another look at his delivery that he waited back just a little bit and torqued it, but not enough. Tried to make that one break behind him instead of out in front of him. So the third free pass issued by Shocker pitching.
When Eddie was at his best, that was the pitch that he was throwing pretty much anywhere he wanted to, for strikes or as a strikeout pitch. Kind of a get me over, or he could make it a little sharper, make it down and away from righties, and that's kind of abandoned him over the last several weeks.
And being comfortable throwing that breaking ball behind in counts, where you could just cast it in there for called strikes. Takes a lot of courage as a freshman to do that. And a lot of trust in your coach and your catcher. So the Shockers with 3 in the first and 4 in the third. I haven't seen the Jackrabbits since 1981. That one's cranked to left field, hooking, and foul. Josh Falk hit that ball a ton down the left field line. And he never broke into a trot. He knew it wasn't coming back one way or the other. He was going to get to trot around the bases or walk back to the plate. Where's the Carlton Fisk out of you, Josh?
That's a strut.
When you flatten a ball like that, I guess maybe you're entitled a little bit. See if Eddie can make a little better pitch. Yeah, quite a bit. That is going to turn into 2 outs instead of 2 runs. Shockers turn a double play, and that's a nice find for them considering how many they've been hitting into lately. So Boyer to Ritter, over to O'Brien, 2 away.
Well, they're due about 6 more now.
Yeah, I think so.
Nice wide grin from Jordan Boyer. Happy to roll that 6-4-3. Sure of 1, quick on 2. Takes the little extra beat to make sure that that toss to Ritter was on target. A good, accurate return throw to Mason O'Brien.
Base is clear for Gus Steiger, Jackrabbits' second baseman. Steiger lined to left to start the second inning. Yeah, I was going to say a couple innings ago, and of course I'm sure Steiger will make out here and make us have to follow this up in the next half inning. But Wichita State's outfield play this year I think has been a bright spot among a season that's been kind of up and down a little bit. The fact that Grayson Genesta is so versatile that he can play, he's playing left tonight, but play center or first. Catsby in center. You've got a guy on the bench, and Alex Jackson that could play center or left. Hunter Gibson played left last night. He's playing right tonight. Talk about some interchangeable pieces. That's nice.
What's great about it is that I think pretty much everyone, maybe with the exception of Hunter Gibson, who plays the outfield for Wichita State, can play center field.
Mm-hmm.
So you're basically putting 2 center fielders out there
every night. Into center. Catsby's got it measured, and right on cue makes a running catch. And that's that for the Jackrabbits in the fourth.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
7-0 Shockers as we go to the bottom of the fourth. They will be facing their third different pitcher. It'll be Brett Barnett, a freshman from Indianola, Iowa. Barnett will be pitching for the 16th time, all out of the bullpen. There you see his season's numbers. Andrew Zimmerman, 2 innings, 3 hits, 4 runs, 4 walks as well. So Bohm, Jeniston, Troutwine will greet the freshman Brett Barnett. And you wonder if one of these days Brett Barnett will remember the time that he pitched in Wichita against one first rounder, a likely other high rounder, and who knows, maybe one of these days he'll be in his rocking chair with grandkids on his lap and said, I played against 2 big leaguers one time in Wichita.
Kids, you'll never believe the time I got Alec Bohm to bounce out to shortstop. Best day of my life.
Tell me more, Grandpa.
Barnett, believe it or not, has mostly been used as a situational lefty this year. Only 4 of his relief appearances have lasted an inning or longer. So usually he's out there for 1 or 2 hitters, and usually those 1 or 2 hitters are batting from the left side. So this will be an experiment in and of itself, facing a dangerous right-handed bat in Alec Bohm.
And a guy that hadn't seen many strikes tonight. Alec has walked twice, scored twice. Shockers get 3 in the first, highlighted by Troutwine's 2-run single. 4 in the third. Genista hit a 2-run home run. Yeah, good pitch on the outside corner, 90 miles an hour. So there's the first chapter of that story about Alec Bohm for you.
The details get exaggerated as the years go by. 20 years from now, that first pitch fastball is at 96.
Unless they go to the archives here at WSUTV, there's proof. Straighten him up, 1-1. Yeah, you were mentioning last time he was up there, you'd like to see what the scouting report looks like or says. I'd like to take a peek at an opposing scouting report one of these days, see what they say about Bohm and how to attack him, how to get him out. So far, so good for Brett Barnett, 1-2.
I just wonder if Cincinnati had a different one than everybody else, because they played him extreme to the opposite field. Oral Roberts and South Dakota State have played him deep, obviously, but a little to the pull side. For what it's worth, I think Cincinnati's approach was entirely valid, and especially over the latter part of this season where Bohm has had to adjust his own approach at the plate. With the way that he's gotten pitched, he's had to shoot more and more balls towards right and right center. So that makes sense, but I just wonder how some scouting reports get filtered down and others kind of stay the same.
Bohm, as he so often does, once 2 strikes rolls around, turns into a bit of a different hitter. Not that he's totally a Punch and Judy, but he's hard to get fooled. He's hard to make him swing and miss.
For a guy with 11 home runs to have only 20 strikeouts is silly. That's incredible.
You know what it looks like a lot of times when he's up there? That he knows what's coming. You know, he's never really out on his front foot. He's never really tardy on a fastball. Always so balanced and so together, especially for a guy with long arms and legs like him. He's got to get everything all synced up together to make constant, solid contact, but boy, he does it pretty much all the time. That's where you can get him if you can live in there consistently, but that's not a very big hole.
That's a tiny spot to hit.
That's about the size of a baseball.
And if you miss about 2 inches out over the plate, you're probably getting a new baseball from the umpire.
Now, that's the one thing that he will see really early on in his professional career, whenever that may start, is that's where he'll get tested first. Can this guy hit the fastball in on him because he's a long, levered guy? That's where you start.
And correct me if I'm wrong on this, but isn't that kind of this test that every hitter has to pass their first couple go-rounds in professional baseball is
yes.
If you can't hit velocity, you're not going to stick around for a very long period.
Right.
You can have great back control. You can fight off pitches with 2 strikes, but with the way that velocity has now infiltrated the game, if you can't catch up to 95, you're not going to be around.
Now, to his credit, and to all good hitters' credit, the more 95 you see, the easier it is to time up, so you better hit your spots with it. You make mistakes to big, strong guys like this, they end up going a long way. But the higher up you go, yeah, the pitchers are going to have more command, certainly more velocity. But we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. And Genista and Bohm, they're still in college and still learning and still getting better. Bohm and Genista, the so-called Bash brothers at the beginning of the season, have been on base all 4 times. That one's down around the knees, called strike. So Bohm has walked 3 times, Genista once, and last inning when Bohm walked, Genista knocked him in with a homer. Bohm goes. And Bohm is in there. They had first dive. A couple of stolen bases for the Shockers tonight. Alec with steal number 8.
Really good pitch for Mawalski to throw on. Fastball up and away to let him right out of his crouch, and that throw down had Kolsing, the shortstop, leading him right towards the bag, so it made it into a bang-bang play, but Bohm got such a good jump going first move on the lefty that he's able to get the big frame in there.
Not sure exactly what's been going on with Brett Barnett, that he's only been able to just be a one hitter at a time kind of guy. He's flashed a pretty good arm, 88 to 90 with his fastball.
I guess is 10 walks and 10
10 walks,
innings.
yeah, that doesn't help. Not going to get you to stay around very long. So Bohm at second, nobody out, and the Shocker fourth. Kind of what we were talking about earlier, Denning. You don't expand the strike zone regardless of the opponent. Bad habits will be sure to follow. So that is now 5 walks among Bohm and Genista. Troutwine also working on a perfect night. And after him, Gibson also working on a perfect night. Gunnar is singled and walked.
Generally, if you're in the bottom of the 4th inning and your 3 through 6 hitters haven't been retired yet, that's a good sign.
Mm-hmm.
8 total walks thrown by Wichita State already tonight. Against a South Dakota State team that didn't walk an egregious amount, 191 in just over 333 innings coming into play tonight. Not a great rate, but also not something that jumps off the page at you.
1-1 to Gunnar. Their high water mark this year in walks, 11. Came back on April 12th against North Dakota State. Well, there have been at least 2 walks in 3 of the 4 innings. Cashed both of them in the first. 2 of 4 in the third. Troutwine's ahead in the count, 2-1 after 2 walks here in the 4th.
See if Gunnar gets himself something he can turn loose on here on 2-1. He'll be looking to elevate to left field. Been a while since he has left the ball yard here at X Stadium.
His last home run actually came on the road. That was that dramatic home run against Oklahoma State in the 9th inning at Stillwater. But that was back on April 10th. Shallow right. One away. So Troutwine's perfect night is over. Now Hunter Gibson will be announced. Will he get the chance to hit for himself? Looks like he will.
That was a pretty good pitch to swing at for Gunnar Troutwine. I think frustrated with himself that he couldn't do more with it. Just a bit tardy and skies it into right field. But Wichita State definitely still threatening and looking to expand upon this already sizable advantage.
Gibson a pair of singles, scored a run in the 3rd. In the air left side, going to twist out a play. So the Shockers in the midst of their longest homestand. Lost 2 out of 3 to Cincinnati. Knocked off Oral Roberts last night. In the driver's seat here tonight. USF this weekend for 3, Kansas State next Tuesday. And that will be it. Ben's in there for a strike. And that hit him. So they are loaded up again. And again, it will be Mason O'Brien, who has twice hit a sacrifice fly.
0-2 pitch that just gets away from Barnett. I think he was trying to replicate what he threw on 0-1, the breaking ball that started at Gibson and snapped into the zone. And this one didn't do any snapping.
Sure didn't. That one would have been tough to get away from even if Gibson knew it was coming.
If you're going to get hit, though, that's not a bad one to get hit by.
A bad type of pitch to get hit by either. So they are loaded for O'Brien. Sacrifice fly to right field twice, technically. That one's to left. That's trouble if it straightens out, and just foul. And Mason O'Brien, not exactly an inside-out swing, but taking a shot to the opposite field. Almost had himself a couple more RBI.
It's a better swing, I think, from Mason. Been really trying to elevate to the pull side his first couple times up and squared it up fairly well last time in the 3rd. But here, didn't try to do too much with it, left on left. Good, easy swing. Quick to the baseball. Just a little bit too much slicing action.
And Barnett took advantage. Much better pitch there on 0-1, so now he's way ahead 0-2. Bohm, Genista, and Gibson, your base runners, they all walked. Or excuse me, Gibson got hit by a pitch. The other two walked. And O'Brien lays off of that one.
Here's another look at Mitch Mormon. Again, only one season at Wichita State. Had somewhat adventurous college career. Des Moines Area Community College and LSU.
Roller foul. I think they call that well-traveled. 3 different spots as a collegian.
As you can see on in your picture there, he is a large gentleman.
He's a large human.
Put it kindly, 6'6", and threw what I've heard former pitching coach Brent Chemnitz describe as one of the heaviest balls he's ever seen.
O'Brien rung up for out number 2. Good job by Brett Barnett to come back after a near extra base hit on the first pitch he threw to O'Brien. So Mason is now 0 for 1, and it's up to Ross Cadena.
Not much O'Brien can do about that.
Nope.
If you're going to get that called for a strike as a hitter, you're in for a long night.
Now watch Cadena ambush this first pitch from Barnett. Didn't do enough with it, and Barnett worked into trouble, but strands the bases loaded in the Shocker 4th.
Introducing Dunkin's new cold brew coffee, steeped slowly in cold water for small batches with an ultra-smooth, full-bodied flavor. Discover the craft of cold brew today and keep on. America runs on Dunkin'.
Charles Koch Arena is the place where we gather as a community to compete against the very best. Now our game plan is to renovate Koch Arena by adding a new student-athlete success center. Your tax-deductible gift can help deliver that slam dunk. Join us at the level that is right for you. Donate online at wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
All Shockers as we head to the 5th. Jacob Lindemann there in the foreground did a nice job in his 3 innings of work here this evening. Only allowed the 1 hit and a couple of walks. And Liam Eddy trying to back him up with multiple scoreless innings out of the bullpen. The second time that he's emerged from the pen after 10 straight starts for Wichita State. Liam served up a double play in the 4th, and he'll get the lower third of the order here in the top half of the 5th.
Can't imagine Wichita State will extend Eddie too long here. Would like to have him available in some capacity over the weekend, but this is in much the same way that it's a get-well game for the offense. It's a get-well game, or at least an opportunity for Liam Eddy to throw up a couple zeros.
Landon Badger has flied to left in his only plate appearance. Shockers have out-hit the Jackrabbits 6-1. Neither team has committed an error yet. The Shockers have benefited from 6 hits, 8 walks, a hit batter. Little tapper, and going to be a tough play. That was doomed pretty much from the start. A little swinging bunt. And that ball went into the dugout. That's really unfortunate that Luke Ritter scooped it with the glove, and about a 16 hopper that trickled helplessly and not harmlessly into the Shocker dugout. Take another look.
Yeah, once Eddie didn't get this, it was going to be a very difficult play, and I'm not sure if Ritter would have had enough time to transfer it over to his bare hand and then make the throw. But then it goes all the way into the dugout and an extra 90 feet as South Dakota State gets their best scoring opportunity since the first.
It'll be a hit and an E4. So now Logan Holtz, right fielder. Takes a belt high strike, 0-1. Shockers trying to go to 22-6 at home. Last year, 22-7 was their home record. Oh, 2. thing that really hamstrung the Shockers last year, Denning, was their road record. They were only 5-22 a year ago. Much more respectable 9-10 at the moment.
Yeah, how do you take the same mentality that's allowed you to win so many games at home and carry it with you on the road? It's a question teams have been asking themselves for a long time, as Ritter makes a nice leaping catch to deprive Holtz of a hit. But to me, it all starts with kind of the culture within the clubhouse, the culture that a coaching staff can institute, and it just kind of filters its way down.
Here you take a look at Ritter being the Shockers' Swiss Army knife. Play a little bit everywhere. And when you've got a veteran team like Wichita State is, and we're going to see a hitter for Mahalski, and it's going to be Josh Kutsky, junior from Washington State. But when you've played together as long as these guys have, talking about Janice DeBohm, Ritter, Boyer, Vickers, that core group, Dugas, a couple more of those outfielders, you pretty much have to, we kind of laugh and joke about team meetings, but you got to get yourself together and say, look, before the season starts, we can't be going down this road again where on the road we can't get anything done. Gibson started in, now over toward the line a little, makes the catch, runner tags, and over to third goes Badger, and he'll make it without a play. Kutsky flies out to right field on one pitch and back to the top of the order.
It's not just the coaching staff and their ability to implement a culture as well. You're absolutely right. The veterans are going to play a huge part of that, because a lot of times it's the upperclassmen who kind of dictate what a team's identity is going to be. And every team is unique in what kind of culture they have, what kind of attitude they have when playing the game. And for a veteran team that's been together a long time, that really has to start at the beginning of the year when you say, what kind of a team are we going to be?
And they were tested right away. They opened the season on the road. Now, of course, when you're in the Midwest or North, you're going to play a fair amount of road games to begin with. But they start at McNeese State and swept the Cowboys, winning all of them and scoring in double figures in all of them. So right away, that set a bit of a tone. Ritter's going to try to bail out Eddie, and he does. Actually bailed out himself after a glove flip error allowed a runner to reach to start the inning.
Become a part of history at Wichita State University by helping us complete X Stadium. A new 10,000 square foot performance facility will give our baseball, softball, tennis, and golf student athletes the strength and conditioning training space they need. Your tax-deductible gift will help us knock it out of the park. Join us at the level that is right for you. Donate online at wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Halfway through here at the Eck, Shockers leading 7-0. Got a new catcher. We believe it's Ian Coate, a junior from Minnesota, taking over for Mahalski behind the plate after Colton was pinch hit for in the top of the inning. So Wichita State will send Boyer and then the top of the order here in the fifth. Shockers with 3 in the first, 4 in the third. They benefited from quite a bit of wildness from Jackrabbit pitching. They've cashed in on quite a few of them. The Shockers loaded the bases on free passes in the fourth, but couldn't quite cash them in. Strikeout short-circuited that rally in the fourth.
Shockers don't want to get complacent. Obviously, a 7-run lead, fairly comfortable with only 12 outs to get, but still, as an offense, you want to stay locked in. You want to continue to put together good at-bats.
Boyer high bouncer. Colsing has to give ground. Crow hops, throws, and still got him. Committed 2 sins of playing shortstop, but showed off a pretty good arm and got Jordan Boyer by half a step. Can't fault him for playing the hop, but boy, he was like an outfielder almost.
Maybe got caught a little in between whether he wanted to come in or retreat. Did a little bit of both. Then the hesitation and just a little bit faster runner. Wichita State likely has a leadoff infield single, but it's a very strong arm from the Jackrabbit shortstop.
1 pitch and 1 out for Luke Ritter. Ritter, as we've grown accustomed to, on base pretty much all the time, hitting a walk already. Luke started that 3-run first with a single and then stole a base. Hit into a double play in the second, and then drew a base on balls in his 3rd consecutive plate appearance in as many innings. Brett Barnett worked around some trouble that he got himself into last inning. Johnson backs up for the hop, 2 down. There's been one other time that the Shockers sent the minimum to the plate. That was when Boyer singled in the second, and then Ritter and Catsby followed with ground balls, Ritter's being a double play.
Much more routine on the turf op here to Johnson than it was to Colsing, who kind of played it into a bit trickier of a situation. This is just one big bounce, shoulder high, plenty of time to set the feet and make the throw across.
Catsby's getting locked out so far. It's 0 for 3. Hit the ball well his last time up there, but flew out to deep right. Tries to bunt his way on, but it's pretty much right at Barnett, who tries to throw it away, and it got past the first baseman. Kind of babied one over there, and Falk couldn't dig it out. So that'll likely be E1. Barnett, actually, I was going to say did the hard part. Didn't even do the hard part. He had to come off the mound about 5 feet, and that was it. Kind of bounced one over there. Wasn't even an in-between hop to Falk.
A little disappointed in Brett Barnett for not upholding the very high standards of athleticism that left-handed pitchers have for one another. This is why it doesn't have to be a great bunt sometimes. If you can just force a pitcher to get off the mound and make a throw to a location where they're not accustomed to making it, you can typically find your way aboard if it's a halfway decent bunt.
And that one eats up the shortstop Colsing. So Bohm's on there for the 4th time in an inning that ought to be over. Back-to-back errors. And that keeps the door ajar for Grayson Genesta.
Colsing just couldn't get his body in front. Ends up playing that ball off to the side rather than in between his feet. And that's a good way to create a mistake. Do everything you can as an infielder to get square to the baseball. Not only allows you to field it cleaner, but then you're set up to make a throw a lot better.
That pitch will not count. Time was called.
Of course, you're not always afforded that luxury in terms of having time to scoot your whole body over and get in front. But in general, staying square is a good rule of thumb to follow. And Colsing, I think, wasn't able to get all the way over there and caused the miscue.
So there have been 4 ground balls here in the inning. 2 outs, 2 errors. Genesta has walked twice and homered. Went just about 60 at-bats in between home runs. Nobody really did a lot offensively last night against Oral Roberts. He did have 1 hit in 4 tries. Shockers got 6 altogether. Bohm hit a home run here last night, his 11th. Shockers have led from the very first inning. Statistically, that has been a death sentence for opponents. Shockers are now, well, if they win this one, be 21-3 when they score first in a game. And if they go on to win this, they'll be 25-7 in games which they hit a home run. And by the way, Genesta is the luck charm. They have won in every game that he's hit a home run.
One of Coach Butler's axioms, score first and have the biggest crooked number. And used to quote a figure that teams who do those 2 things win about 95% of games. And Wichita State has done both. They put up a big crooked number in the first, ended up eclipsing that figure in the third. And, well, it doesn't hurt that they've gotten 5 shutout innings from the staff as well.
One and two in an inning that has progressed quite a bit further than it probably needed to. Catsby laid down a bunt, and Brett Barnett bounced it past his first baseman. And then on the next pitch, Bohm hit a bullet that the shortstop Colsing couldn't handle. And Genesta is turning this one, or trying to turn this one into a lengthy battle.
Most pitches already that Barnett has thrown in an outing this year. With 1 more out, he would equal his season high in outs recorded. Should already have it.
Into right, Holtz, a late break, and didn't catch it. It dropped. A run's going to score, and Genesta goes to second as Holtz kind of pleading his case. And the error absolutely comes back to bite Brett Barnett as Genesta just floated one into right field for a hit, and Catsby never stopped running. And actually, really neither did Genesta as he makes it into second base, and that will go as a double.
Kevin Rain, Charlie Clemens, and Travis Olson are all going to get together to talk about this to see if either of the other 2 umpires had a better look at this, but this is definitely the first base umpire's call. He is the closest man in the vicinity by far.
Well, he was absolutely convinced that he caught it, and that was a great sell job if he didn't. So Catsby, as I mentioned, kept on going. No catch. Or, that is to say, nobody had a better view. Boy, Holtz was really convinced that he made the catch, wasn't he? And it was really tough to tell if that ball hit the turf before he scooped it either. So
I generally trust the initial reaction of a player just because you can't fake instinct, and feel that way about foul balls right at home plate on determinations of did it hit the foot or was it a bouncer to the left side or whatnot. As a hitter, you're going to have that momentary pause if you're really trying to sell it of, oh, this is what happened, but this is what I should be portraying as happening. And if your Holtz out in right field, you can't really fake that if you didn't think that you caught it.
if you try to fake it in a situation like this, immediately you come up and hold the glove up to sell it that, hey, first base ump, I made the catch. So the Shockers may have gotten a gift run. Barnett finally out of the fifth inning.
Introducing Dunkin's new cold brew coffee, steeped slowly in cold water for small batches with an ultra-smooth, full-bodied flavor. Discover the craft of cold brew today and keep on. America runs on Dunkin'.
To the 6th inning we go. Shockers have been in front since the very first, where they got three. 3 in the first, 4 in the third, a bit of a gift run in the 5th, I think we've determined, but either way, it's been all Shockers. Only the second time these two programs have met in baseball, and their head coach, Rod Bishop, is a little bit peeved that the Shockers got a run in that last half inning. Here's the catch, no catch that we were talking about, and Holtz, their right fielder, totally convinced that he made that sliding catch. And the more I look at it, the more I don't think I disagree with him. A big reason why is what Denning said in the last half inning. It's hard to fake and umpire out because they've kind of seen it all before, you know. Try to sell a hit batter, or you try to sell a foul ball if you're in the batter's box, and most importantly, an outfielder on a catch no catch. If they try to sell it to the umpire, they'll hold up the glove and say, "Hey, see, I caught it." Mm-hmm. And he just was so routine and nonchalant to say, "Oh, sliding catch, third out, head back to the dugout."
While it did look like the ball kind of bounced back up, I think it was in the leather when it did so, and then just kind of stuck near the palm.
Eddie with a called strike 3 to Tony Colsing, who couldn't pull the trigger on a front door breaking ball. He's 0 for 2.
It's a very nice sequence from Eddie. Got ahead with a couple nicely spotted fastballs, and then drops this front door hammer right on the inside corner. Good sign to see Liam Eddy starting to settle in. 2 1/3 scoreless now.
That's his first strikeout. Nick Smith. This is the final guy that Eddie hasn't faced. Going one time through the order now. Smith has popped out and lined to left. That's into left. It's going to be a tough play for Genesta, but he glides over and makes it. Boy, he rarely gets fooled on a ball off the bat, regardless of where he's playing out there. 2 away.
And he covers ground pretty effortlessly, too. You, I think, said it best, glides. Never looks like he's having to exert full effort out there, and turns this well-struck ball off the bat of Smith into a nice routine catch. It's now 5 in a row set down by Liam Eddy.
Newt Johnson doesn't have an official at bat yet. He's walked and been hit, and he takes a strike in there. Eddie, razor sharp here in the 6th.
Living on edges.
The good kind.
Fastballs to the inside part of the plate, to the outside part of the plate. Nothing you can do as a hitter with that.
Nothing you can do about that either. Just pray that Kevin Rain doesn't say strike three. The only other time that these two programs met was back in 1981. They played 5 games, and the Shockers murdered the Jackrabbits in every one of them. Closest game was 8-2.
I've been told that was a pretty good team
That would have
in
been
1981.
a tough Shocker team to beat that year.
They went 73 games that season. That was Joe Carter, Phil Stevenson, right?
Yes, it was.
That's pretty good.
The next year, Shockers went to their first of 7 World Series. Scores were 18-8, 29-4, 18-0, 13-2, 8-2. Those were the 5 games between the Shockers and the Jackrabbits that year.
Who was the Jackrabbits pitcher in Game 5 to hold them to 8?
To 8-2, yeah. Eddie, and safe at first as O'Brien came off. I was getting ready to say Eddie turns in a 1-2-3 inning, but O'Brien had his foot come off the bag. So safe at first. The inning will continue.
Boyer had to get rid of this in a hurry as Johnson was in some pretty good shape getting out of the box, and O'Brien, I think, lost his footing just a little bit as that throw took him up the first base line. First base umpire Charlie Clemens had a very good look at it. Tough to tell from that angle, but a 2-out runner for South Dakota State.
Newt Johnson hustling all the way, so he becomes a base runner, and now Falk, who has struck out and grounded into a double play. You jumped ahead one year. The 82 team is the one that won 73 games. They were 73-14 overall, 15-1 in league play. The 81 team was a paltry 56-15. Also 15-1 in league play.
See, I was trying to figure out how you could win 73 games and not go to the College World Series.
That's how.
That's how. You'd just be wrong.
56 is a bunch of games won, no question about it, but yeah, they played 5 games in 3 days. Pair of doubleheaders in a single game. Runner goes, and Eddie calmly steps off and guns him down at second base. Good job by Liam Eddy not to balk. Kept his wits about him and gets Johnson. What?
Introducing Dunkin's new cold brew coffee, steeped slowly in cold water for small batches with an ultra smooth, full-bodied flavor. Discover the craft of cold brew today and keep on. America runs on Dunkin'.
Charles Koch Arena is the place where we gather as a community to compete against the very best. Now our game plan is to renovate Koch Arena by adding a new student-athlete success center. Your tax-deductible gift can help deliver that slam dunk. Join us at the level that is right for you. Donate online at wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
New pitcher for South Dakota State. Barnett went 2, and his night is done after an unearned run. Brett Reimers, right-hander, will take over. He'll be in there for the 11th time. He's the 4th different Jackrabbit pitcher, none going more than 2 here tonight. It'll be Gibson, O'Brien, Cadena, the scheduled hitters, against Quinn Reimers, 6'4" sophomore from Pierre, South Dakota.
More issues with free passes, which has kind of been the bugaboo for the South Dakota State bullpen. 9 walks in 11 1/3 innings, contributing to that elevated ERA, which currently sits in double figures. But with an 8-0 ball game, a chance for Mitch Mormon as well as Rob Bishop to run a couple different guys out there and see if they can give you some innings.
So they face a couple of left-hand batters and then Kadena. The Shockers have 3 in the first, 4 in the third, 1 in the fifth. And for the second straight night, you got to credit a couple of pitchers that had either not pitched much in that role, struggled, or a combination thereof. Last night, you had Clayton McGinnis go 4 solid, Alex Siegel 3 scoreless, and then Tyler and Sandburn did their thing. But this evening, Jacob Lindemann 3 scoreless, Liam Eddy 3 scoreless. Each of them just gave up but 1 hit.
This is 2 weeks now when it's looked like with their backs against the wall, this pitching staff has come through with a couple of very nice performances in midweek games. It set them up for a good weekend. Last time it didn't work out that way, but we'll see if Wichita State can put a little something together with a more rested staff this upcoming weekend against the South Florida Bulls.
So basically what you've had is 2 guys have made their first starts of either the year or their career yesterday and tonight. And Shocker pitchers have turned in 15 innings where they've given up one unearned run. No runs tonight. The run last night was due to an error. So it's kind of deja vu for Wichita State in a 5-game week. Hunter Gibson had a hole in his bat as he swung and missed on 3 pitches from Quinn Reimers. That's how the 6th inning starts.
3 sinking fastballs moving down and out of the strike zone got Gibson to wave over the top of all 3 of them. Right at the knees or a little bit below, and foul tipped into the mitt.
O'Brien, before that Gibson plate appearance, was the only strikeout victim so far tonight. Now that's 2. Mason has driven into a pair of sacrifice flies. And that's going to settle in front of Holtz, a base hit. So O'Brien gets his first hit of the night.
The Mason O'Brien scores a run watch. Now kicked up in
High alert.
DEFCON 3 as he is on at first base. And not surprising that he was looking for a first pitch fastball after what he just saw against Hunter Gibson. Reimers threw him 3 straight ones, so O'Brien, a smart hitter, goes up there looking for just that.
Kadena hitless in 2 trips, a sacrifice fly mixed in. A little cue shot to short. This might be a funny hop, and nicely played by Colsing. 2 down.
I was right with you. I thought this ball was going to have a lot of funky spin that was going to kick left or right at some point, and it never really did.
I think that 1 extra hop basically took all the starch out of that Massey shot by Ross Kadena. That hop right there may have straightened it out. A squirrely looking ground ball though. So now Boyer. Jordan a hit and 2 official at bats. He's also walked. Strike up around the belt. Didn't look like Coate was expecting it to be up there. Time called as Mason O'Brien doing his best to get over to third base and only 90 feet away from his 4th run scored of the year.
I'm not sure I'm ready.
But Jordan Boyer surely doesn't know. Is there any way we can radio down there and alert him to if at all possible, bring in Mason O'Brien here. Into left, and here we go. Smith is going to charge, and Sammy Esposito is going to hold him up. Boy, oh boy. Opportunity missed. I guess Sammy Esposito is the guy we should have radioed down to. So Boyer's got 2 hits, but O'Brien station to station, over to third, and that's it. It'll be up to Ritter.
Sammy just doesn't understand the gravity of this situation. This is a chance to get Mason O'Brien's 4th run of the season. And with 2 outs, you got to send him. Just kidding, obviously. That no real reason to get Mason O'Brien hurt.
No, not an 8-0 game, no. No balls and 1 strike.
That look from Luke Ritter says it all.
As it should have.
Kevin Rain ready to open up the zone.
Sack up the balls and get ready to head home. Oh, and 2.
I'm sure every umpire has called a pitch like that a strike at some point in their career. You know you kicked it, and you kind of just have to live with it.
Well, what you do is tell the catcher and the hitter that that won't happen again, and then you move on.
So you,
in my opinion,
do you pretend like that was really a strike, or you just like, hey,
no,
that one?
I missed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Umpires very maybe protective of their authority, I guess is how I would put it. And so some might be a little defensive about that.
I might have to amend that comment. It used to be, or the really good ones will say they missed it. Nowadays, I'm not so sure, and I don't want to include Kevin Rain in this, but umpires in general, I think the ones that you really would love to be calling balls and strikes in your game to get a fair pitch, that they would say, hey, I miss them every now and then. Ritter goes down on strikes, and the Shockers have a somewhat quiet 6th inning.
Become a part of history at Wichita State University by helping us complete X Stadium. A new 10,000 square foot performance facility will give our baseball, softball, tennis, and golf student athletes the strength and conditioning training space they need. Your tax-deductible gift will help us knock it out of the park. Join us at the level that is right for you. Donate online at wichita.edu/shock the world.
Everything just about on script for Wichita State. Out hit the Jackrabbits, as you see there, 9-2. They've scored a crooked number in a couple of separate innings. And now maybe the only thing left to fill in here, Denningerg, is to have Cody Hoyer get a little tune-up before his start coming up this weekend. And he is going to have the 7th inning here tonight.
Has not pitched in any other ball game besides the first game of a weekend series all year. He's been the proverbial Friday night starter. Not all those starts have come on Friday nights, but for the most part, when it's been kicking off a weekend set on a Friday, it's been Cody Hoyer taking the ball. And so this will be a different look for him. Of course, he has plenty of experience in his Shocker career working out of the bullpen, but this is likely just Mike Steele using, and in pro baseball, it's referred to as their pen day. And so some pitching coaches and some pitchers would rather go out and face live hitters for their 15 to 20 pitches rather than just go throw a bullpen.
Very good point. That may be the case here. He last pitched against Cincinnati on the 4th. He was knocked out in the 4th, ended up giving up 3 runs. Only 1 was earned, but he allowed 5 hits and a couple of walks. At UCF, 4 walks and no hits into the 3rd inning. So as much as this is a feel-good or a bounce-back or whatever you want to call it for a handful of different Shocker players tonight, Cody Hoyer the latest to get in line here. Hopefully for him, he can put up a spotless 7th, and we can move it on. Looks like his arm feels good. That fastball at 97. Josh Falk will greet him. Likewise.
Wonder what South Dakota State thinks.
Between Eddie and Hoyer coming out of the pen against them.
Well, and
thanks a lot is probably what they're thinking.
You're down 8-0 in the 7th inning, and here's a guy pumping 97 out of the pen.
Yeah, we need to get a guy upper 90s some work here tonight. As I mentioned with Eddie and Hoyer a little less so, but when you look at their overall numbers, you think, well, they're having a fine season. What are they doing pitching in the midweek? But we know different. I know what Josh Falk is thinking right now.
He says that Cody Hoyer's numbers look fine and that he shouldn't be pitching in midweek relief. Because after 95, 96, 97 to drop this, good luck.
1 away. Gus Steiger, scheduled hitter. That's not him. Get you the pinch hitter's name here shortly. One away here in the top of the inning. We got a uniform number that has escaped us here. We're being told this is Steiger. So we'll go with that, I guess. Yeah, there's no 37 on the roster, and he has been wearing 37. This is Gus Steiger, who his real jersey number is 3, and that was a really ridiculous cut fastball or slider right there, and it's 2-2. Steiger, assuming this is him, slide to left and slide to center.
Blame us for just not paying attention.
Whiffing on that one, yeah.
All night, yeah. It's going to happen.
2-2. Well, Cody Hoyer is one batter away from couldn't possibly feel any better after this little tune-up, as we deemed it.
This is a 93-mile-an-hour two-seamer, and that's gross.
In a good way.
Off the outside corner, dots it back to the outer third.
Landon Badger, a hit in 2 trips.
We kind of saw flashes of this Cody Hoyer in relief late last season, and it was a little bit out of nowhere. I mean, we had always known he'd had the arm talent, but when he started popping high 90s consistently with a really good slider and then throwing a two-seamer as well, it was just like, whoa, came out of nowhere.
Both of those fastballs to Landon Badger were 96.
These are the kind of innings that can get you drafted.
No question.
10 to 15 pitches.
not just get you drafted, make you a lot of money.
Yeah. Like
And-
you drafted 10 rounds higher than you were.
Yeah,
gonna
if
get drafted.
if the right person sees you, and there's plenty of people here tonight, of course, each and every night to see Alec Boehm and others. But this got to be an absolute added bonus to see Cody Hoyer in the 7th inning of the midweek game. Left side of the diamond, Boehm being called off. Boyer makes the play in foul ground, and Cody Hoyer turns in a dominant 7th inning.
Introducing Dunkin's new cold brew coffee, steeped slowly in cold water for small batches with an ultra smooth, full-bodied flavor. Discover the craft of cold brew today and keep on. America runs on Dunkin'.
Stretch time here at the ballpark. New pitcher is 6'5" right-handed freshman Mitchell Omi. Takes over for Quinn Reimers, who wasn't in there long but got his work in, a scoreless inning. And so Omi will have 2, 3, and 4 in the order to negotiate here in the home half of the 7th inning. Shockers with 3 in the first and 4 in the third to kind of put this one to bed a little bit early, but 3 Shocker pitchers have certainly made it stand up. South Dakota State only 2 hits.
Omi had kind of settled into a pretty viable bullpen option for the South Dakota State team into the early and middle parts of April. He's hit the skids a little bit as of late. He had a really rough outing on the road at Fort Wayne in which he allowed 5 hits and just 1 inning of work, allowed 3 runs. Pitched this past weekend in their sweep against Omaha, but did not retire a batter. So looking for a bit of a bounce-back outing here with the Shockers in front, 8-0.
So Sewer went 1, Zimmerman 2, Barnett 2, Reimers 1, now Omi. And Coate, his catcher, will go out and they'll decide what signs they use if somebody gets on second base, and give him an attaboy, and off we go. Jacob Catsby reached on a throwing error by the pitcher. His last time up there, came around to score. One ball and no strike to Catsby, who flied out twice, grounded out to second, and then tried to bunt his way on and had Brett Barnett throw one away. Catsby into center field. Badgers got plenty of room out there, one away. Boehm's been on base all 4 times tonight. 0 for 1 officially, though.
Going to be kind of a tough luck night for Jacob Catsby. I felt like he had a couple balls that were squared up pretty well, but nothing to show for it except reaching on the air and scoring a run. So he got a chance to start here in the midweek against South Dakota State. Over the weekend, likely will be moved back to his regular kind of platoon defensive replacement pinch runner role.
Well, I just can't help but feel like that this is a carbon copy, if people still say that anymore, of that 5-game week that they had April 17th through the 22nd, in which Central Arkansas and Kansas came to town. Stroked into center, Badger back, and now comes in a few steps and makes the play, 2 away, so he has a chance to tie a record if he gets another one. But the Central Arkansas game won by the Shockers 8-2. The Kansas game won by the Shockers 11-0. The big thing that stands out to me there is not the 19 runs that they scored in the midweek, but the 2 that they gave up by the pitching that they had to run out there, and a kind of a Band-Aid kind of situation like we've seen last night and tonight. But you shake your head at the results and the guys that have put up the zeros that they have. Either they had been struggling or hadn't gotten a lot of innings or hadn't pitched in these particular roles, and they are all sparkling last couple of days.
That weekend you're referring to, the panic button wasn't being pressed, but the finger was hovering right over it. It was looking like it was going to be a long week, and guys were going to have to throw who didn't have a whole lot of experience, but they came through in big spots, and it's been replicated again this week.
One unearned run allowed by Shocker pitching in 16 innings this week. Janister working on a perfect night. Home run, double, 2 walks. That one's right in there.
Caught him by surprise on that 2-1 offering, I believe. Janister looking for something other than a fastball.
Two and two. It's funny that before last night, Alec Boehm hadn't hit a midweek home run. Grayson Genesta hasn't hit a weekend home run once we've got into conference play.
Between the two of them, they've got the whole schedule covered.
And the Shockers go down in order for the first time tonight against the Jackrabbits.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
So far, so good for the Shockers. We head to the 8th. It'll be Preston Minor taking over on the mound for the Shockers. He will be the 4th Shocker pitcher, working on a 2-hitter here through 7. Minor has made some appearances here and there. Denning, consistent work, obviously a tough thing for him. So an 8-0 ball game in the 8th, tailor-made for Minor here in the inning.
Been quite a while since we've seen Preston. He worked twice in that weekend series against UConn. That was all the way back in mid-April, though, and we have not seen him since. Just 6 1/3 total innings for the sidewinding right-hander on the season. 7 strikeouts, 6 walks, 7 hits allowed.
Boy, we've talked at length on WSUTV this year during the baseball season how we both 100% believe there's no such thing as momentum in baseball because it has everything to do with who you throw and who they throw in the very next, sometimes inning or at the very least game. But now we've set, Wichita State set themselves up for just as good a picture as you could paint for the South Florida series when it comes to their pitching availability. I know they'd like to have Tommy Barnhouse, which they won't. I know they'd like to have Connor Lungwitz, which they may not, and even if they do, it's for an inning or so. And I know you'd like to have the March version of Liam Eddy and Cody Hoyer, but in the Tuesday and Wednesday games that we had for you here on WSUTV, the pitching has just been ridiculously good.
Everything that it really could have asked to be. And it's like you said, you'd love to have all those different things. You'd love to have all those arms available. You'd love to be at 100% health. The reality is, at this point in a college baseball season, almost nobody is at 100% health. Nobody has, well, apparently, other than Oral Roberts, has the same three guys starting on the weekend and the same guys starting in the midweek. You got to make adjustments. You got to have guys come into different roles and succeed and kind of grab jobs. And for Wichita State to have two guys making their first starts of the season in the midweek give up one unearned run combined, that's rising to the occasion. That's taking a job and saying, I want the ball here. I'll get the job done and succeeding.
And in the situation that we were talking about that this week so far almost mirrors as Catsby lopes back and makes the play on Logan Holtz. Is back on the games against Central Arkansas and Kansas. You had Tyler Davis and Preston Snavely, who both have gone on to, at least to this point, bigger and better things. They parlayed that into something.
It's a stepping stone, and it can give guys so much confidence. That's why these midweek games, in addition to their RPI benefits, in addition to the win-loss record benefits, can really pay dividends for getting guys opportunities who, over the weekend series, don't get a whole lot of chances.
Ian Coate getting a chance to hit here. Speaking of not very many chances, he's got 14 at-bats all year.
Struck out in 11 of them.
Not exactly the best of assignments for him, probably, facing Minor, who drops way down. It's 1 ball and 1 strike.
There is sidewinding, and then there's Preston Minor, who looks like he is just slinging it.
Mm-hmm.
This is a low-effort side armor. Won't get over 80 miles an hour very often, but as you saw in that last pitch, a lot of movement side to side. Most sidewinders or side armors who throw from this arm slot, their slider is going to be like a Frisbee. Less depth and more horizontal movement.
Mm-hmm. 3-1 to Ian Coate. South Dakota State setting on 2 hits. And a rare base on balls. That's the first one since Lindemann was out there. So back to the top of the order again, and Anthony Schneider. He's 1 out of 3.
Designated hitter Anthony Schneider.
So again, South Dakota from here will go home to play Western Illinois for 3, and at North Dakota State for 3. And then on to the Summit League Championship. Minor gets right back in there, 0-1. The Shockers will welcome South Florida. The Bulls come to town, ranked as high as number 22 in the country. The game Friday night, Saturday afternoon, Sunday morning. Minor got one past Schneider, 0-2. And then the home schedule wraps up next Tuesday. Kansas State comes calling, and Shockers hit the road for the final 3 of the regular season at Memphis. I guess Miner wanted to bypass the guy hitting 071 and go ahead and take his chances with Anthony Schneider, at 261 and 4 home runs on the year, as you see there.
Really good on base percentage. Schneider works a lot of walks, 21 free passes drawn for him on the season, and good fit at the top of the order. He's also been hit by 10 pitches.
Miner blows him away. Strikeout number 1 for him. So 2 down, and Tony Colsing, a guy who does strike out quite a bit. That one had a little ride on it.
And he works you away, and then elevates kind of in. That can be an effective pitch.
That is a good trick. Preston Miner turns in a scoreless 8th as Wichita State, hopefully for them, comes to bat for the final time.
Introducing Dunkin's new cold brew coffee, steeped slowly in cold water for small batches with an ultra-smooth, full-bodied flavor. Discover the craft of cold brew today and keep on. America runs on Dunkin'.
Charles Koch Arena is the place where we gather as a community to compete against the very best. Now our game plan is to renovate Koch Arena by adding a new student-athlete success center. Your tax-deductible gift can help deliver that slam dunk. Join us at the level that is right for you. Donate online at wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
So bottom of the 8th we go. Shannon Denning with you here on WSUTV. Brett Mogan will take over for South Dakota State. And Wichita State, Troutwine, Gibson, O'Brien, your scheduled hitters. So you see Dayton Dugas, Travis Young, also Trey Vickers, all those guys getting the night off. There's Brett Mogan's season numbers. Shockers have out hit the Jacks 9-2. Each team has committed 2 errors, but the only hits for South Dakota State was a leadoff single by Schneider in the 1st and a leadoff single by Badger in the 5th. It's been it.
Not much offense to speak of, and not many legit scoring opportunities. There was the leadoff infield single coupled with the Ritter throwing error that put a runner at second, nobody out. And that was by far the best scoring opportunity that South Dakota State has had, as a combination of Lindemann, Eddy, Hoyer, and Miner have really clamped down on the Jackrabbit bats.
I think, if my eyes don't deceive me, Garrett Coase is going to hit for Gunnar Troutwine. And it shall be Kosis, then Gibson, then O'Brien would mean 3 straight left-hand batters. Shocker scored 3 in the 1st, 4 in the 3rd, 1 in the 5th.
Leading off the Shocker 8 and pinch hitting, number 29, Garrett Kosis.
The Jackrabbits have had 1 man reach second and 1 man reach third. That is it. Mogan to Kosis. Falk battled that one to the death, and he'll take it himself, 3 unassisted.
Been hoping to get to see a little bit more of Garrett Kosis. Big, strong freshman, swings it from the left side, obviously, and had a string of 3 straight plate appearances where he singled. That was back in early March against UT Arlington and a couple games against Furman, but hasn't had many opportunities since then.
Gibson's been on there 3 times in 4 tries. A pair of singles and a hit batter. You know, it took a little while this season for the kids to emerge. Talking about Kosis, Gibson, Paxton Wallace. It was pretty much the veterans, the old guys, hogging all the at-bats. But slowly but surely, these guys have elbowed their way into the lineup here and there. I suppose that goes for Jacob Catsby a little bit. Alex Jackson was starting. He was kind of the odd man out in the outfield to start with.
There will be spots up for grabs next year. It'll be fun to watch some of the fall and spring practices to see who's able to grab jobs. We've talked quite a bit about the battle behind the plate with Gunnar Troutwine departing. Now it looks like, at least for the time being, that'll be Noah Croft competing with Ross Cadena for the starting spot.
4-pitch walk drawn by Hunter Gibson.
But you assume Alec Boehm and Grayson Genista likely moving on to professional aspirations. That's 2 more spots in which some of these young guys will have an opportunity to fill on day 1.
O'Brien is 1 for 2 with a pair of sac flies.
And he almost scored a run.
We were deprived of the opportunity for Mason O'Brien to score a run. A trip around the pad this last time up. Tantalizingly close. Made it to third base.
I think I care way more about Mason O'Brien scoring a run than anyone has a right to care about anything right now.
Just in this game or in general?
It's been bugging me for a long time. I think I brought this up to you like a month ago.
You did. When he was sitting on 3 runs.
I'm pulling for you, Mason.
There's one sure way to score a run.
If he gets a hit and then gets lifted for a pinch runner, I am going to lose it.
Especially an extra base hit. Maybe a double or something.
He's in scoring position.
Yeah.
Just shut it down.
Shockers have only gone down in order once. That was last inning. Omi set down Catsby, Boehm, and Genista. Little popper foul. It's 1-2 to Mason O'Brien. O'Brien came up with a bases loaded in the first. A little flare fly ball down the right field line over toward the line that was collected by the second baseman Steiger, but Genista scored. And then O'Brien a little more conventional sac fly to right when he came up in the third. So Mason sitting on 26 runs batted in on the year. Waited on one, but lofts it to the left side, and coming in is Smith to make the catch. 2 down.
Shane, it appears as though we're going to have one more similarity to that week to which we've been referring. That's Paxton
Wallace.
Who is
nice.
warming up down in the right field bullpen. Likely will be called upon to close this one out in the top of the 9th. Did so against Central Arkansas.
The occasional DH has made 1 pitching appearance. There he is on the left side of your screen. Got a live arm. And they took the bubble wrap off of him for the Central Arkansas home game. The Shockers won that one 8-2. Cadena is 0 for 3. Does have a sacrifice fly. And while we're handing out attaboys, we ought to probably credit the battery, or the back half of the battery, Cadena, for what he's done behind the plate tonight, authoring this 2-hitter to this point.
No doubt about it.
And he gets a hanger and squeezes it between the bag and the line. Down in the corner she goes. Gibson steaming around third, and he's going to be able to score without a play. Smith tackled it down there in the corner, and may have injured himself in the process. Cadena with a double makes it 9-0. And in his haste to try to get to that ball in the corner and keep Gibson from scoring, looked like Smith kind of botched it down in that corner. This is going to be 2 bases all the way. And that little stumble or whatever it was, of course, Smith had a long way to run too. Right in here at the corner to where we lost him, but Gibson probably going to score on that play anyway.
So as a corner outfielder, a ball like that you can play one of 2 ways. You can wait for a ricochet, or you can try and cut it off before it gets to the wall and then kicks back to you. And Smith kind of did a little of both. Ended up beating it to the wall, but he was right at the wall, and so he slid up into it. No chance to get to his feet to get Gibson as Ross Cadena records his first extra base hit as a Shocker.
Here's another look. And yeah, he slid to start with. So he kind of complicated things much further. I mean, that was a double, and I can appreciate his hustle, but you're not stopping Gibson probably from scoring, and Cadena is probably going to coast into second base anyway. Josh DeBacker is going to hit for Boyer, and he lofts one foul that hits the retaining wall.
Productive night for Jordan comes to a close, on base in 3 of 4 trips, including a multi-hit game. Nice bounce back for him. It's really nice to have a guy who you can just plug in there at shortstop when you absolutely need to, and he's going to make the routine plays. He's going to put together competitive at-bats in the way that Jordan Boyer will.
Oh, and 2 to DeBacker.
I mean, we talked about the defensive flexibility in the outfield, having a bunch of different guys who can play all 3 spots. But most teams don't really have 2 true shortstops on the roster. And Jordan Boyer came to Wichita State as a true shortstop, kind of slid him over to second base, felt he profiled there a little bit better, but more than capable of handling short when need be.
Well, he had to do it the first 10 games of the year when, I don't know if there's a more high leverage type of situation than, right out of the chute when he mainly played second base. But Trey Vickers had a hamstring issue at the very beginning of the season, and so it was Jordan Boyer to the rescue to play short. Into right center field, Badger is not going to get it. It's going to settle in front of him. Cadena is going to score, and the throw will be a little late. It's now 10-0. Josh DeBacker keeps this part of the order going. That is now 3 hits and a walk from the 9 spot. And so the Shockers make a little noise with 2 outs here in the 8th.
Nicely done by DeBacker on a pitch that was 0-2 and out over the plate. Serves it into right center field, and of course with 2 outs, no chance to get Cadena coming around to score as Wichita State breaks into double figures.
So that's now 11 hits all of a sudden for the Shockers. And there have been 3 innings that they've scored that they've put up that crooked number. Ritter chased a pitch up. It's 0-1. Ten runs, 11 hits, 2 errors, 11 left for the Shockers. 0-2, 2, and 5 left for the Jackrabbits. Smith, Johnson, and Falk, 3, 4, and 5 for the Jackrabbits, due up in the 9th. In the air to center. Last chance coming up for South Dakota State.
Become a part of history at Wichita State University by helping us complete X Stadium. A new 10,000 square foot performance facility will give our baseball, softball, tennis, and golf student athletes the strength and conditioning training space they need. Your tax-deductible gift will help us knock it out of the park. Join us at the level that is right for you. Donate online at wichita.edu/shock the world.
Shockers will turn it over to Paxton Wallace here in the top of the ninth. It'll be 5 Shockers working on a 2-hit shutout. Both hits singles. And Wallace, as Denning speculated, only pitched one other time. It was against Central Arkansas here.
Now pitching for Wichita State, number 15.
He'd been a two-way player, touted as one coming in. Also, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Garrett Kosis, two-way player as well.
Correct.
And so, back in the Central Arkansas game, or that week, it was kind of in case of emergency break glass, and Wichita State did it, and they busted out Paxton Wallace, who flashed some low 90s from a low three-quarter arm angle from the right side.
Came into the game and promptly threw 4 fastballs about head high at 93 miles an hour, and we could tell he was pretty amped up, but ended up settling in nicely, did allow a run on one base hit, but showcased some pretty intriguing stuff, and this is an excellent opportunity to get another look at a guy who potentially down the road could be a valuable bullpen arm for Wichita State.
And save one of the regulars, as it were, for the weekend. So he'll get about as tough a task as South Dakota State will have to offer. Nick Smith, Newt Johnson, Josh Falk, 3, 4, and 5 in their order. And that one bounced off Cadina's foot at 92.
Hands on hips for Ross, and whatever you called there, that's enough.
And back in the strike zone, that one's peeling foul and out of play. Yeah, I will go to bat for catchers every single time, if pardon the pun. A fastball in the turf is the last thing that they expect. Fastballs, catchers expect to get to the glove. Breaking balls and changeups, yes, they anticipate them being in the turf, but not a fastball. And when it's at 92, that's no fun. One away.
And you can't block it. You don't
No.
you don't have time, so you're basically just picking it / getting out of the way. As Luke Ritter made this a somewhat interesting juggle job out at second base, but fortunately it bounced right back into his bare hand. All's well that ends well.
Looks like he's playing flip with himself. So 1 down for Newt Johnson, who has been on there all 3 times by way of a walk, a hit batter, and an error. Shockers working on a shutout, and if they can finish it off, that would be number 3 for them this year. Jackrabbits have only been shut out once. That will be an almost impossible play and not quite in time. Good effort deep in the hole. That'll go as, and Trey Vickers is your shortstop now, that'll go as just the 3rd hit. An infield single credited to Newt Johnson.
Welcome to the game, Trey Vickers. Here's the toughest play imaginable. Deep into the 6 hole. everything right. Did nothing wrong on that play, but knew Johnson just a little bit too quick and beats out the one-hop throw.
So whenever you see a guy in the big leagues make that jump throw, that Derek Jeter play, don't be fooled. It's not that easy. You got to have a cannon to pull that one off. Oh, and 1 to Falk. Paxton Wallace trying to put the finishing touches on the final baseball game on WSUTV this year. A ground ball right at an infielder would do the trick. Falk is 0 for 3. He's hit into a double play tonight. That came in the 4th, facing Liam Eddy. Well, I got to say, we've been pretty much all over the American on WSU-TV between a little women's basketball, a little volleyball, a little baseball. A busy endeavor and a fun one.
I've enjoyed it pretty thoroughly.
Set the bar pretty high with the volleyball team, I would say. They spoiled everybody by winning all the matches they played, seemingly.
When you don't lose, that's a difficult standard to live up.
Yeah, it is.
But both men's basketball and softball going down to the last day of their regular seasons in the regular season tournament hunt, regular season championship hunt. All in all, I'd say pretty successful inaugural voyage through the American for Wichita State Athletics.
Well, in baseball, we had Omaha here on WSU-TV, swept them. Nebraska took 2 out of 3 from them. SIU Edwardsville, that was on WSU-TV. A bullet into right field. It's going to settle in front of Gibson. So 2 on, 1 out. Got Steiger coming up next. And then Furman came in, and the Shockers swept them.
I'm so sorry.
I'm looking for a bad one here on WSU-TV, and I'm struggling to find one. Central Arkansas, 8-2.
Are you saying we're good luck?
Cincinnati, we ran into a snag when Cincinnati came to WSU-TV. Steiger 0 for 3, pair of fly balls and a strikeout.
I've got a great Gus Steiger stat. He's now batted 144 times this season, or at least 144 official at-bats. He has walked 5 times.
It's a Mason O'Brien stat. That went all the way back to the screen, so there goes an opportunity at a game-ending double play, or at least a conventional one.
He also doesn't strike out much. Punched out looking in the 7th against Cody Hoyer. That was just the 22nd time that he's gone down on strikes this year. So the ball is typically going to be in play. But for a guy to hit 292 and his on-base percentage is below 320.
Kind of tough to do. Swung very late, and it's now 1-2. We do know that Paxton Wallace has a good arm. He's been 92, 93 consistently. What he has to complement it remains to be seen consistently. We might find out here. Swing and miss type of situation. He could use a strikeout if you want to keep that shutout string going. That one was boring in on his hands, almost knocked the bat out of his hands. Still 1-2. That was something else. 2-2. And while you'd like to get Paxton Wallace through the 9th inning here, you don't want to leave him out there to die either. So Keelan Kilgore getting loose for the Shockers just in case.
Paxton's got a little bit of that Greg Holland tap of the glove right before he comes to the plate. Right there.
I thought I detected Liam Eddy having a little bit of that too within his last couple of outings. A little bit of a tap of the glove before raising the leg and going toward home plate.
For a lot of guys, obviously, just a timing mechanism.
All the way back to the screen and so wild that it didn't turn into a wild pitch. 3-2.
Are we about to see a Gus Steiger walk?
Surely not. Inning started with a ground ball out and back-to-back singles. A wild pitch mixed in there. South Dakota State, really the only drama left is if Jackrabbits can score. No walking here. First strikeout for Wallace, and the shutout still intact. Last chance, Landon Badger.
Can't say I'm terribly surprised that Steiger was up there to swing the bat. And a 3-2 fastball that ends up not being a strike. Very difficult to catch up to that. Fastball in the low 90s, right around shoulder level. Looks tempting, hard to hit.
Eight strikeouts for Shocker pitching tonight, and Landon Badger, the final hope for the Jacks. Vickers with a fancy play and out at first, and the shutout stays intact. The second shutout of the season for Wichita State, and our swan song on WSUTV yields a 10-0 Shocker victory. Denning and I will be back right after this.
Introducing Dunkin's new cold brew coffee, steeped slowly in cold water for small batches with an ultra smooth, full-bodied flavor. Discover the craft of cold brew today and keep on. America runs on Dunkin'.
Well, Denning, on paper, 5-game weeks are never easy, especially the midweek pitching, but Wichita State surely has made it look that way today.
From guys that maybe you wouldn't expect to be able to do that, and that's the most impressive thing about it. And two guys making their first starts of 2018, Clayton McGinnis last night, Jacob Lindemann tonight, taking the ball and doing exactly what you want to see from guys who are kind of having their backs against the wall. They threw strikes, they worked fast, they were aggressive, they allowed their defense to work behind them, and then maybe more importantly than that, they had some support, and it wasn't necessarily from the defense, but the offense, putting up a 10 spot, a big home run from Grayson Genista, and 3 crooked numbers for Wichita State, more than enough to get the job done tonight.
So Wichita State dispatches of back-to-back Summit League teams. Oral Roberts last night 2-1. South Dakota State tonight 10-0. Wichita State now 31-16 on the year. South Dakota State's final non-conference regular season game puts them at 15-25. Denning, enjoyed it. Great job this year, buddy.
Thank you, Shane. I appreciate it.
For Denning Garrick, Shane Dennis saying thanks for watching. And thanks for watching all year long, The American on WSU TV.